bass.
Hey, Funketeers, Bootsy here to bring the Truth and Rhythm family's attention to Funk Not Fight. Yeah, this is a call to action. We spread hope, not hate, to gain satisfaction throughout our communities via the music uplifting unity. Peppermint Patty, tell us a little more.
Thinker is our partner. Thinker Music, that is. So please check the link that's scrolling across the bottom, click it, and submit your music.
Let's all funk, not fight.
Welcome back to the next part of this Truth and Rhythm episode. Be sure to subscribe to this channel. If you've already done so, please share it with friends. Also become a member by joining Truth and Rhythm on Patreon, or consider donating at funkinstuff.net. Thank you so much for your interest and support. Enjoy.
Jody, is there one or two just most unforgettable performance memories that you could share with us? Maybe one that was just really a high of some kind, and maybe one where something funny or unexpected happened?
Yes, there's quite a few. One, I remember one of the most mind-blowing was we were playing in Washington, D.C. There was the arena there. I don't know, I forget the name of it, but it was pretty big and it was a sellout. And the first thing was that I don't know if the limo driver was late or something, but we got there on time, but we got in that car and he was flying and all this people, cars, the traffic trying to get into the venue, and he was driving on a shoulder and he had to be driving like crazy to get us there. And I remember how scary it was. But when we played that place, that place was so Philip Ingram would know the name of that venue because Philip, he has a photogenic memory. So if you ever ask him what venue we played in Washington, D.C., he would say, oh, yeah, it's such and such. I don't remember the name of it. I just remember it was big and it was sellout. And I remember we were playing and we were jamming. And you look up and they had the jumbotrons up and everything. And I remember looking up and seeing us up in those, those jumbotrons, so to speak. And for some reason, that was my first time seeing something like that with us up there, and all that. And so it just stuck in my mind. I'm like, wow, this is, we made it. I mean, that's how I felt at the time, when I saw that. But that was one of the good memories. One of the cruel memories was when we were in Dallas and they pulled the plug on us.
The venue did, or another band?
The venue did, because there was, it was a union venue and all that. And we were jamming and wanted to be closer, passing out roses, and everybody's just having a good old time. And somewhere on the side, they kept telling us to cut it. And we just kept jamming. And we learned to respect that when they say to cut it, that's what they mean, because they pulled the plug on us. That was in Dallas. I was like, oh my goodness. So, I don't know if they were enjoying it, but they could pull the plug. It was a union venue and they say, you guys got to get off. And so won't forget that one. You don't want the plug pulled on you, bro.
When you saw yourself on that Jumbotron, were you playing? Because I would think that if you happened to be like, in a rhythm, and you looked up and it kind of threw you that it might get you off the beat for a moment.
Yeah, it didn't get me off the beat, and I was playing. Yes, I remember that clearly. Yeah, that's why it's so stuck in my brain. But no, it didn't. It was just because I didn't stare at it because too many things going on stage. But I remember looking up there and seeing that, and I was like, "Oh, wow, that is so cool," But it didn't throw me off.
Jody, was there anyone in all of the tours you did with Switch back in those years that just super impressed you with their performance?
Well, there was quite a few. I just love the Barcades. I think we played with them so much. I just love them. They were super nice to us because we were kind of like rookies, because that was like the first time we were out on tour. And the Barcades are just super, super guys. Each and every one of them, too. It wasn't one that was a little different, if you will. They all were nice. So I have to say the Barcades. And the rhythm, their rhythm section was just killing it. And the one time I had a chance to really enjoy them was in Pittsburgh, when I actually went back up and watched them perform. And Barcades, they're the ones. They're the ones. In the Switch days. Yeah, Barcades.
Wow, you know what? You're not the first one on the show that has said the Barcades, that they were super nice and helpful and also incredible performers.
Yeah, that's so important, how you treat people, no matter what, and how the times we're living in. And sometimes people just seem like sometimes people it's an angry society. Everybody's mad and angry about everything. It still has something to do with being nice to people. And you just don't forget that. And I won't forget that. They always looked out for us. They were super, super nice people. Yeah.
So, Jody, what changed? What were some of the main changes by the time Switch's third record came along? How would you say that things were different creatively and structurally?
Well, on the third album, Motown sent us to Caribou Ranch up there in Colorado to record. And that's where Chicago recorded and all that, which is an interesting experience, because I met Brian Wilson up there of the Beach Boys. He had a cabin up there, and he was so I had met him. But anyway, that's when it's pretty much Motown was letting us do our own thing. Pretty much have at it. Here you go. See what you could come up with. And that was okay, but we still should have sent maybe someone up there with us to kind of like give us some direction, because we had a good time, obviously, but we end up finishing the album back in California because we didn't get a lot done up there. No, we didn't get a lot done up there creatively. I mean, we would let loose, man. We were in a campsite or however that was, and we just had more fun than we did of creative juices there. So that was the third album. So when we came back and we would start formulating the album and what have you, that's the one where it didn't have our picture on the cover.
Yeah, and you also didn't call it Switch 3 for whatever reason.
Yeah. I tell you this, though, that there was a question mark on my understanding at that time, there was a question mark on whether we were still going to be a group at that time. And that's why that picture wasn't on there. But we still took some photos. And if you see the photos we took, there were some killer photos that should have been the album cover. I'm talking about some of our best pictures was from that Switch 3, but it never made the album cover.
And the two albums, the third and the fourth, both came out in 1980, like really close together, right?
Yeah. I don't really remember the years of it, but they were close. But I would think that it was pretty much, yeah, I guess so.
That third record didn't produce the hits, but I did like Believe in Yourself.
Oh, yeah, I would have liked to have done that over. That was yeah, I would have liked to have done that over. But that was, I don't know. I just talked to someone just about 3 days ago and said that was their favorite one. Some of those songs on there. What was some of the songs on there? Reaching for Tomorrow.
I'll call it right up and tell you. I got it here.
Yeah, pull that up. My Friend in the Sky, wasn't it on that album?
Power to Dance. Yes, My Friend in the Sky. Don't Take My Love Away. Keep Moving On. A Brighter Tomorrow is an interlude. I finally found someone new. Honey, I Love You, and Get Back to You.
Oh yeah, that was some big. There were some really, really good songs. And when we performed those songs, a lot of people really liked them. On that Friend in the Sky, goodness, that song. And you and I, we performed that song. Goodness. That was when Bobby really started coming to his own with his vocals and his writing. I mean, that boy can sing. Goodness.
Yes, indeed. Did you have much exposure to, besides Tommy, other members of the family? Did you know that their whole family was basically musical?
I knew they were musical, and I met them some. Bunny, I met her and knew her quite well, and but that was it. The other ones, they were kind of young, but I met them all and I knew them all, but I didn't really hang with them. They were like Bobby's little brother, so to speak. But Bunny was more older, and yeah, knew her well. And she really, really is a nut. You know, that I always tell people that that family, if I was to have a Mount Rushmore of talented families, they would be one of them. I'm talking from the beginning, every single one of them. Goodness, every one of them. That's one talented family.
Yeah, up there with the Jacksons and the Isley brothers.
See, because well, yeah, because I don't want to confuse with record sales as opposed to talent. You see, because when you break them down talent-wise, I mean, it's just phenomenal. If you ever was in a room with all of them, every one of them, they're busy. They're talented, man. And that's what I mean. So yeah, I would put them up there for sure. They would be on my Mount Rushmore for sure.
So you got back to it for the fourth record, right? So you wanted to try to regain the magic, maybe that was a little lost on the third one.
Yeah. And it was, you never really captured, because the record sells, well, you really didn't capture that first one. And but that was another good experience doing that song, doing that album. The guys were well mature by then, and we were ready to go out on tour at that time. Love Me Over and Over Again was on that fourth one. And so we went out on tour around that time.
And by that point, were you headlining, or were you still sharing bills, or how was it working?
So we were headlining some and we were sharing others. So it wasn't a totally headlining situation. So we shared with some, and there was some we branched off and went and did our own thing on some of the venues that we went to. But by and large, we pretty much shared the bill with the Barkays.
And how many times did you guys get on Soul Train?
4 times, I believe 4 times at least.
Wow, that's a lot. Yeah.
Yeah. But I told you who to ask.
Philip.
Philip is, man, he is that guy is so smart.
So then that was the last DeBarge record, right? The fourth one?
Yes. Yes.
And where was your head at, as these changes were taking place? What was Jody Sims thinking, and how were you processing what was going on with the group then?
By then, Jody's head was pretty much into my selfish self, I think, at that time. It was all about me, and shamefully, we all grow from that. But I'm speaking from reflection now. Didn't everybody was off doing whatever they wanted to do, and it was no real group at all. And I think all of them would say pretty much the same thing at that time, fighting to stay in there. But it was almost like you're going upstream and the water's going downstream, and you're just trying to paddle it. And then if you just slow down, you're just going to get washed away. And now I feel that's what happened. And it was a point of no return at that time. I don't think we had the support of Motown at the time. And we didn't have, there was no continuity there of the group. And ironically, we still really cared for each other. So it was never infighting, if you will. It was just like disappeared, just like poof, just like that.
The fifth record, the last one for Motown, I don't know how you say his name, but Atala Giles. How did you connect with him? Because I've seen I don't really know him, but I'm curious about him because I've seen his name attached to so many different acts, and a lot of them actually, after he's been involved with a lot of groups that were very popular, but then as they were a little less popular, he's been associated with them. So I don't know, but he seems to bring, some funk to what he does. I don't know anything more than that.
Yeah, he was just a great guitar player. He was good friends with Philip and Greg. Just a great guitar player. He just was. He would bring that flavor that you're looking for, and he can pretty much. My memory serves me correct. He can interpret what you're thinking almost. If you want some licks, it was just a great guitar player, and a great person as well. And that's nothing but good things to say about him. Played that guitar, buddy. And but he was more closer to Greg and Philip.
You Keep Me High on that record, on the fifth record, definitely a funky track. Were you on the fifth record, or what was the situation?
No.
Oh, okay.
No, there were studio musicians at that time.
Oh, okay. So the group was really on the outs at that point. Yeah. And then what about when it moved to Total Experience? Were you involved in that project?
Oh yeah. We got together, and Greg and myself and Eddie and Greg found these other guys, and we got that deal with Total Experience Records. So yeah, I was totally involved in that one as well. It was surreal. I mean, it was okay. We was just still fighting because it's hard to break through, and Switch was such a we had such a reputation, and all the individuals that intertwined together. And so now you have this one group over here that didn't have that Switch sound, if you will. And I'm not talking about just having a DeBarge voice, but you didn't have Phillips either. So it just was one of those trying to make it almost all over again, so to speak. And that's the truth. But I tell you what, It was almost having fun again, though, when it was come recording it. We were capturing that fun again. You know, you see that Greg walking around, and he had that strut again. You know, you had Eddie is just phenomenal with his keyboard playing, like maestro. He's phenomenal. And have you talked to Eddie yet? Eddie, I'm gonna tell you something about Eddie Fluellen. He is, you want to talk about underrated? Not underrated where people that meet him know his talent, but oh my goodness, he's a maestro within itself. He could play the Flight of Bumblebee on one hand and then another one of those songs on the other, whatever that word is. That's how talented that guy is. He took classical piano when he was a kid.
No, I'd like to talk to him. Greg is the only Switch member besides yourself that has been on the show so far.
Oh, okay. All right.
Yeah. Well, on that album, I mean, like you said, it's good you guys had fun doing it, but I felt like I know Oliver Scott was very involved, and he worked with the Gap Band. He's actually been on the show. And so I think it had a lot of his influence. I just felt like in a lot of the sound, and Spend My Life With You was definitely one of the tracks on there that harkened back to more of the classic Switch sound, I thought.
Yeah, that's true. We didn't have Eddie, there was a one on there that he did on that particular track too that had that Switch sound, the harmonies and without the instrument, just keyboards and strings and what have you. But you're right, it was completely because that was like a funk group. I mean, everybody there, they all, a lot of drinking and a lot of other stuff going on in that studio where, everything was like party atmosphere, where Switch's success, we didn't really have people in the studio ever. We would have maybe one or two, but we were like, it was almost like 10 to 6. That was our studio sessions, 10 a.m. to 6 p.m. So we go in there, it was business, where when time we got the total experience, it was like a party, and maybe some people don't function well like that. I don't think we did. We were more of a 9 to 5 type recording group to me.
Did you have any contact with the Gap Band guys, the Wilson brothers, while you were?
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. All the time. Very nice. Kind of just really party nice guys. You know who would fit well in that group would be like Rick James, because that's just, real happy people. The Gap Band, always happy, always cordial, nice, party type deal, and nothing but good things to say about them.
Yeah, I mean, the time when you guys were there, they were at the top of their peak right then, 1984.
Yeah, they were.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I gotta say that one track on their Switch It Baby was definitely very Daz Band Whip It like.
No comment.
So what happened with you and the rest of the fellas after that record?
Well, what happened, first of all, obviously that record didn't go anywhere. And so we got into our own personal lives for a while. And there was a crossroads for me, was where I had, I had 3 boys, and I had to make a decision. And I made the decision to just settle down and take care of my family. And that's what happened, which I think was a good decision at the time. And even today, I have real fine boys there, nice family, and they turn out very well. But that was my personal decision that I had to make back then.
So what role did music play in your life in the, ensuing years?
Well, I never left music, because I actually got a recording studio, and I did, I had a recording studio up there in Altadena, and there was a couple people came through, like Motley Crue. They came in and tore the studio up. No, I mean, they came in and recorded some stuff. And the Spinners, I did had a chance to write a song for them. They were there at the studio there, and a song, Can I Depend on You? So I still was involved, but I still had to maintain and take care of my family and be present with my boys. And I was always present with their lives, always.
I saw your name attached to a act called Legacy. I wanted to ask you about that. What was that project?
Oh yeah. Michael Norfleet and Daryl and all them. Karen White was in that group as well. And I just produced them, I've found them when I was with Switch, actually, and I worked with them and just had some fun with them. We recorded. They had a really good song, some songs, but it just we didn't get where we needed to get to. But yeah, Legacy. Like I said, Karen White, she emerged from there. Michael Norfleet, he plays with Switch when they go out there on tour and things like that. So very talented keyboard, very, very talented. And what's really interesting, and what I like is I surrounded myself by nice people. I always do nice. And so when you hear me say, oh, they were really nice guys, that's because if I was hanging around them, to me, if they were nice to other people, then I like them. And Legacy was another one of those. They're very nice, even to this day. I've communicate with them sometime. Crystal Howard, and that was Legacy. Legacy was practicing in their mama's living room, and I went over there. I remember went over there, and they were just all out here. And we just got them tight and played a couple contests and things like that, and made a record. Yep.
Well, I know in '82, The Groove Is Here was a catchy tune by them.
Yeah. Well, you do your research, don't you?
Yeah. Well, I have a good friend who is just an incredible record collector. He's in the UK. And he actually asked me to ask you about that Airwave label that Legacy was on. If you knew anything about that imprint that was part of that.
Well, yeah, there was Tom DiPiero. He used to be the A&R guy over at Motown. And so Tom, he helped formulate that record label. And so it was kind of like an independent label at the time. And that's how we got Legacy on there. And Tom, he passed away after a while, but he was really involved in that particular project with me. And it turned out okay. But that's what it was. But it was just a one-hit wonder label, so to speak. It didn't really go anywhere, the label.
Jody, were you involved with any other recordings that maybe you're not even credited for that you're aware of?
No, just stay in the lab. I was working with a group there in Texas when I was living in Dallas, and I thought they were very talented, but they didn't like working with me because I wanted to work and they wanted to watch football. I was like, are you serious? We got a session. Yeah, but the Cowboys are playing today. I'm like, okay. I'm not lying to you. I was like, yeah, they're not serious, but no, I just been I've been in the lab writing songs for years, and now I'm ready to start, working on some of that stuff. So,
Were there one or two drummers, from the late '70s into the '80s when Switch was doing it that you admired?
Again, it was more. I love the backbeat type R&B drummers. So there wasn't any individuals. It was just the styles of the drummers that I really admired. And again, there was the James Brown backbeat. You had the Isley Brothers, the way that they be jamming on it. So no, I wasn't really into the drummers that had a lot of solos and would be like that. I was more into just a group concept, stay in the background, pop the backbeat. And so that was more of my my likings.
If someone never heard Switch, how would you describe their sound? And as you're thinking about that, I want to also just mention that I think to me, one of the unique characteristics of Switch was a lot of the varied time signatures that you guys employed.
Mhm. Eddie's the credit with a lot of that. But how would I describe Switch? Well, first of all, I would describe Switch more of, I don't know, it's a cross section between a singing group and a self-contained group, because the singing was harmonies. I mean, it's all about harmonies, singing together, having those harmonies and the trade-off between the Philip and the Eddies. I mean, the Philip and the Bobbies. I mean, it's just I just look at it as a singing group, but a self-contained group. So how do you mesh that two together? That's how I would describe the group. I remember that Billboard at one time, they said we were like the Partridge, was it the Partridge Family? Not the Partridge Family, one of those Sean Cassidy, one of those good looking guy groups, and with no substance. But then they found out later that we had a lot of substance to our group. But I remember they described us that way at one time. When we first was coming out, they was like, okay, but no, a lot of substance to that group.
Yeah.
So how would you describe it?
I think, that's a good description. I think of other groups like that like a Bloodstone or a Lakeside that really had a lot of singing group aspect to it, but also the band too, and just bringing together the soul with the with some funk that can be brought in as needed, and uplifting, upbeat, feel good music,
Yeah, I agree with you on that. It was, I could say this, that I believe that the genre we had and the direction that Switch went and the sound we had, nobody else had our sound. I still don't think so. I have yet to hear a group out there that I can say, oh man, that kind of like reminds me of Switch. There isn't one. I mean, you have the DeBarge, if they have like El DeBarge may have Bobby's style, if you will. And that is true. I mean, they all have that great falsetto. But the collective group and the sound of the group, and the more we went away from the group and more like start inserting studio musicians in there, you lost that thing, whatever that is. You lost it. And I haven't seen a group yet that have that similar sound. I haven't. Have you?
No, I agree. I mean, definitely Switch had its own sound. There's no question about it. That was one of the wonderful things about that era too, is, I mean, there were a lot of groups then that had their own sound and didn't,
Yep.
just copycat each other, even though the genres may have been similar and elements were similar. There are a lot of distinctive groups, and Switch is definitely one of those. Jody, do you feel like, thinking of that, do you feel like Switch gets enough credit and attention for what it accomplished, in its legacy? And
I don't know. That's a difficult thing to decide, because what is credit? What does that entail? I know that we get, when I talk to people, it's funny how individually I talk to people, or I hear people talk of the group, and they always have this praise, and they hook that Switch legacy legend on us, so to speak, where I just took the word that they use. But when it comes to awards, if you will, that type of recognition, I don't think we got the credit for it, because man, that group, it was unique, it was different, it was good, it was a really, really good group. And it's just too bad that we didn't have the direction and the management that would hold that group together. It's just sad state of affair, because who knows how far we could have went with that. But then, we did okay. It's not but it should have went further. It should have went further.
Did you ever think about like crossing over to the pop market at all? Did you think maybe that would happen, or did you have aspirations, or you just were happy in your slot, where you were?
No, we always wanted to. We always aspired to do that. We did. We always aspired. And I remember back then it was real popular of not wanting people saying, "Oh, I don't want to be called an R&B group. Oh, I don't want to be called this." But it's like, you might not want to, but that's how it falls. The radio station have a certain format, and they put you in that format. So just be thankful that you're in that format. But you always wanted to stretch a little bit further. And absolutely, we always wanted to aspire to do that, but we never got that opportunity, I don't think. We had, we didn't really break into that pop market, so to speak. We
had a label made in the Commodores that kind of did that,
Yeah. I don't know. We just never did. We never did. We went up. I don't know if we got top 40 on that at all on the first song, but we didn't really break into the pop market there.
Oh, There'll Never Be went to 36 pop.
36. Okay.
Top 40.
So we
did. Yeah.
We did break the top 40.
Did you ever cross paths?
I knew we were close. Say what?
Did you ever cross paths with Lionel Richie or the Commodores guys?
Yeah, we did. We did. In fact, we were recorded in studio 2 or A or B or something, and they were recording at the same time. And that particular day, Commodores was in the studio on the left, Switch was in the one on the right. It was Stevie Wonder's birthday. Rick James was there. Diana Ross was upstairs doing a remix of Upside Down, I think it was. And then Berry Gordy, he comes in. So at one moment, you had the Commodores, Switch, Stevie, Rick James, Berry Gordy, and Diana Ross, all in that small little studio. I remember that day. So we ran into the Commodores at that time. Not that cordial with us, but
they had some attitude.
I'm not going to say anything. I promised myself I would continue to say nothing but nice things about people, even though they, may have treated us, a little jerky-ish, but that's okay.
Well, you were the possible up and coming threat to them at the label, maybe.
I doubt that, man. These guys. I guess.
What do you think about the Unsung that was done on Switch?
I didn't like it. Because I have an attitude about it. Because they had me come back, and I did a lot of interviewing for 2 days. And how, you always hear specifically in the sport where people say, "Oh, they took that out of context and all that." And you'd be like, "Yeah, right, whatever." Until it happens to you. And that happened to me. And I just, to this day, I refuse to watch it because the words that I mentioned so many beautiful things about everyone. And yet somehow the way they had it where almost like I was ragging on the group. You know, I was talking about, it was a part I was talking about Bobby and how, you know, he had this little special thing about him. But I also mentioned how Greg had this special thing about him and Eddie had this special thing. So you know, and Philip. So I talked to about each person and how they're special. They had that special thing, right? And that's how the group was together. It was like an all-star team, but it's also a championship team. So I talked about that. So what they did was they edited it was edited in a way where all I said was that Bobby had that it thing. Really? So the guys was all upset at me. I'm like, wait a minute. So I tried to get in touch with Unsung to say, hey, you know, that footage, you know, I never did get through to him, but it's like, I'll just let it go. But you asked me, and I'm saying it. I just really, so I don't know. I refuse to watch it because it took my words out of context.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I'm glad that you're able to share that with viewers now, you know, so when they watch it, they can just keep that in mind, you know?
Oh man, I hate it. Oh man, when he did that, it's like, yeah, I said complimentary things about Bobby and that he has that it thing, but I also said that about the other guys. Didn't see the light of day. I guess it fit the narrative. So
yeah, well, I've heard that about that, you know, that won't be happening here. Rest assured. What about, have you had a chance to check out Greg's book?
Oh yeah.
I haven't read it, but anything you want to share about that?
No, I'm just happy for him. I'm happy for him. I mean, and he's my understanding he's working on a second one.
Really?
So, oh yeah.
Wow.
So I'm sure it'll do well. So I'm very happy for him. But I did read it.
He's an energetic guy.
Oh yeah, he sure is. He sure is.
So to what extent, if any, and forgive my ignorance on this, you know, have you, you know, performed Switch material either on your own with other players or with past players?
No, I haven't. Just keep my chops right, but I haven't. No.
Yeah.
I actually haven't. Just go ahead.
Go ahead.
No, I'm saying now I'm just formulating live performance, and I'm sure I'll get the right people to give that sound of some respect. Kind of excited about it too.
So you're looking to play some of that music?
Oh yeah, definitely. So, you know, it's like the pre-production, but it's really pre-production because it's all up and formulating it. And yeah, that's going to happen.
You think in the 2023?
Yep, definitely.
Yeah. All right.
Definitely.
Wow. That's something to look forward to. What would be like your favorite 2 Switch tracks out of the catalog?
Favorite Switch tracks. That would be They'll Never Be and I Want to Be With You. I Want to Be With You. I love that track. Especially the breakdown at the end of me and Tommy were just, you know, playing real tight there. Yeah. That was one of my favorite songs to play too. So yeah, those are my 2 favorite tracks.
Would it typically take you many takes to get something like that on tape, just like you wanted it?
It didn't. Not I Want to Be With You for sure, because it was it was just one of those natural things that me and Tommy we locked in. When you lock in, it was just one of those. So that one was a very simple, easy, just feel good track to me. They'll Never Be might have been a little bit more takes, but not I Want to Be With You. So those are my two favorite tracks.
Fair enough. What about one or two overlooked gems in the catalog that you feel, if people maybe passed over them, they should go back and really listen to them again?
Friend in the Sky. That song is the harmonies, the upbeat feel to it, and then Bobby's message. But it's that song. That song is overlooked. I think that's a great song. Great song.
When you get it together again, maybe you'll pull that one out.
I will. Well, I don't know, because only that's one of those songs that I feel that only Bobby can really interpret that one. A lot of times people will say other songs like the Isley Brothers, they did They'll Never Be, and I myself thought it was okay, but Friend in the Sky, I don't think anyone could do that one. I wouldn't even try that one.
So maybe let that one be.
Yes.
Yeah.
For sure. But they should listen to that song.
Well, as you look back, what are you most proud of accomplishing in your music career?
Well, as a whole, the success that Switch had, I look back on it and I could relive it again. It was a good ride while it lasts. And it was actually something that a lot of people never had an opportunity to do, is to live a dream that they had when they were a kid. So I had that opportunity from way back when my granddad used to sit me on his lap. So I was small enough to sit on his lap that I remember wanting to be in the music business. And the one day when I had a chance to be there and then actually mention my granddad's name in one of those interviews, and he had to see it, and how he lit up when he saw his name in that interview. That was really cool. That was cool. So therefore, I was able to forgive him for the one time that I played with him when I was a young buck at a Polish Christmas party, and we were playing polkas, and he kept turning around, come on, because that was the first thing I ever played. But now that I look back, he must have been desperate, and they didn't have a drummer, and they was like, hey, you want to play? And he had this little makeshift old drum set that he had. And boy, I've destroyed those songs. Who knows how to play polka? So it's like, but I forgave him for that.
Jody, before I let you go, I like to ask guests, if they could just name their 5 Desert Island albums. If you could only have 5 albums that are ones that you were not involved in, and might take you a moment to think of it. That's fine. But what 5 are the landmarks for you personally?
Well, now I have to think about that. One would be Stevie's Inner Visions. Yeah, I would love to rock that one. Superfly, Curtis Mayfield. And I think because I had the privilege of being there when he was creating that song, it was his new sound. I said, hey, that was when I was with the Flashers, and we were signed with him. Actually, we were signed with Curtis Mayfield at one time, and he was in the studio creating that new sound. It was just him and a Congo player, and that's all. And they were writing that song, writing that album there. And so every time I listen to it, I think back of that experience there. So those for sure are the two. I think the full collection of the Carpenters, those songs, their songs, Want to Be Closer, We Only Just Begun. So the collection. So it would have to be the collection, not just one particular, but their greatest hits, I guess you would call that. And also Aretha Franklin, the Chain album.
I'll figure out which one that was.
Yeah, I believe that's the one where it has on a Natural Woman on there. Carole King Tapestry.
Oh yeah.
And that Bruno Mars.
Which
24
one?
Karat Gold. 24 Karat Gold,
Oh.
whatever albums that's on. I got to bring it up to date too. That kid right there, man, he's a monster, dude. So those would be my.
Intervisions is also my Stevie pick. It's, most people go to Songs in the Key of Life, but Intervisions to me is just it.
Yeah, it is. Yeah, it is. Yeah, it is.
Well, I'm glad I asked you that question to get that tidbit on Curtis Mayfield.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. Little added thing, the Congo player, because it was just Curtis and the Congo player. And he was just smoking weed like right out in the open. It was like, you know how long ago that was. And the room was just reeking with weed. Not Curtis though, but was the Congo player. And the two of them, if you remember, that album was the first new sound, that Superfly with the Congos and that style. That was Curtis's new thing. And he was actually asked us, what do you think about this sound I'm doing? And that's when he was working on, he was doing Superfly and Freddie's Dead. Those are the two that he was doing that day, that they were just creating it.
Wow. So I think that would be like 72 maybe.
Yeah. Yeah. Yep.
Fantastic.
Curtis
wow.
Mayfield. Yeah.
Is there anything else that we didn't cover, Jody, that you'd like to share or talk about?
No, not really. Other than just thank you for having me and giving me the opportunity to just talk. I do have that new song out, Dance and Freeze, though, and I want to get that little plug in there.
Where can people get it?
That backbeat, huh?
Where can people get it?
Everywhere. Excuse me 1 second. It's on Spotify. Well, everywhere. You can get it anywhere and anywhere. Stream it. YouTube, Spotify, Amazon, iTunes. It's everywhere. But yeah, it's got that backbeat. Like I said, if it's got a backbeat, I love it. It's got to have a backbeat, bro. Like that James Brown backbeat. That's what it is.
Yeah.
I even mentioned him in the song. So.
And how can people keep up with what you might have coming? If you get it going with, what you're talking about. So.
Yeah, you can just, my page, Jody's Beat on Facebook, and the same Jody's Beat on all the social media platforms, and keep you up to date on all the latest, greatest.
Well, hey, Jody, it's been great fun. Thank you so much for sharing the stories and the history, and thank you so much for all the great music with Switch through the years.
You're welcome, and thanks for having me on, Scott. I appreciate it.
I hope you enjoyed this episode of Truth in Rhythm. A big thank you goes out to our guest as well as to you, the viewer and listener. Also, much gratitude to Pleasure for supplying the show's funky opening and closing music. As a reminder, you can always access the complete list of linked shows by episode at funkinstuff.net. I urge you to support this program and receive the extra benefits along with that by subscribing to the Funk and Stuff channel on YouTube and sharing it with funk, R&B, and jazz lovers, joining Truth and Rhythm's membership program at Patreon, submitting a donation at funkandstuff.net, buying Everything is on the One, the First Guide to Funk book at Amazon, shopping at the Funky Things store for cool merchandise at funkandstuff.net, and linking through funkandstuff.net for all of your Amazon purchases. In addition, if you're an artist or anyone seeking proven, results-oriented professional marketing, PR, writing, or editing consultation or production, check out the media services section at funkandstuff.net. Also, I encourage you to drop me a line at scottg@funkandstuff.net. I love the feedback, suggestions, guest requests, appearance and sponsorship inquiries, and just talking about my favorite subject, groove-based music. For now, and as always, this is Scott Dr. GX Goldfine saying, keep on vibing to the rhythm of the one.